Hey YouTube fans, it's me the story man. Welcome back to my latest video. Today I'm reading a special story which I call The First Party. Apparently this is based in the Philippines. And also, it's a fantasy meet modern world. I'll tell you I won't tell you the premise because it would spoil it for you. So remember fans, like my video, subscribe to my channel, and please leave your comments down in the comment section below. Remember, this story may be made by Chat GPT, but the voice acting, dramatic flair! What else? Storytelling, narration, and ad-libbing were done by a real-life human being, for which I call myself the story man. Let's read, shall we? Okay. Nobody expected the first dungeon in human history to appear behind a self-storage facility in suburban Manila. At 6:17 a.m. on a humid Tuesday morning, a concrete wall split open like paper, revealing a stone archway that hadn't existed the night before. Beyond it stretched a descending staircase lit by flickering blue torches. Now, I can imagine how that worked. The first dungeon, like fantasy dungeon appearing in the modern, I can imagine how that works. I read a few mangas and manhwas about that. Let's see how this works. The government locked the area down within hours. Scientists arrived, military personnel arrived, news helicopters circled overhead. That's pretty fast though, but it is in the Philippines, so I would not be surprised. This would happen. If it was Filipino, there would be karaoke there right now. I can imagine that would be like that. That would be. And then everyone watched the first exploration team vanish. The soldiers entered carrying rifles, cameras, sensors, and enough equipment to establish a small outpost. 5 minutes later, every camera feed cut out. 10 minutes later, the radios died. 20 minutes later, the survivors came back, sprinting back up the stairs, bleeding and terrified. They reported monsters, actual monsters. Oh boy. Soldiers being beaten up by goblins and orcs with axes. But then again, if those tiny bullets could even affect them, I can imagine they have magic. The world laughed. Monsters? Are they serious? How can a bunch of soldiers get beaten up? That's embarrassing. Until the footage was recovered. Then the world panicked. Oh my god, they're real. Every scientific knowledge they knew was shaken by the fact that the fantasy existed. Now they don't know what to do. Let's see how they react to this. I can imagine they're freaking out. They don't know what to do. 3 weeks later, humanity still knew almost nothing. Of course not. Of course they wouldn't know. The structure, officially designated Anomalous Gate 1, had become known by a much simpler name. The Dungeon. Yeah, it's much simple. Let's not overcomplicate things. Every expedition failed. Electronics malfunctioned underground. Vehicles couldn't pass through the entrance. I guess they must be programmed to only let some people in. Heavy weapons jammed. Of course, the dungeon must prepare its own magical defenses. Even stranger, the deeper someone went, the more exhausted they became, as if the dungeon itself rejected modern technology. Nobody knew why. Ooh. And here's our name of the protagonist. 34-year-old Noah Reyes learned all this from the television while eating instant noodles. His dog Bruno sat beside him. His cat Mochi occupied the exact center of the couch despite contributing nothing to rent. And here, those are the three main protagonists, the main characters of our story. The 34-year-old Noah, his dog Bruno, and cat Mochi. Of course, cats just contribute nothing. They're just there to be adorable. Looks dangerous, Noah said. Fair point though. No point. Why don't you blink once? Of course, cats just can't comprehend what's happening. They don't care for that. I can imagine the cat's like, just that's it. Nor interpret these responses as agreement. Fair point though. If you bond with animals long enough, you might know what they're thinking, but we don't know what they're really thinking. We just pretend we do. Just to make sure they like us. No, was not a soldier. He had no training. He's very weak and physical. He wasn't a scientist, not very intelligent, and doesn't know how. He was an adventurer, oh definitely. He was just a guy. But he repaired air conditioners. This guy was a repairman. His most notable accomplishment was surviving 7 consecutive years of customer service. Oh wow! to go through that, my hat's off to you. A lot of them would just break under that pressure. All those Karens you have to deal with. No offense to people named Karen, but that name has been synonymous with very horrible people and entitled beings too many times. Yet 3 days later, he would become the most famous person on earth. Entirely by accident, of course it is. Of course, nothing is on purpose. They always do it by their own reluctance or involuntarily, or they don't even know what they were doing. The discovery occurred because Bruno escaped. Again. Looks like the dog, of course, animals had something to do with it. Whew. Again. The dog spotted a stray chicken near the military perimeter surrounding the dungeon and launched into pursuit. No, Bruno! Noah jumped the fence. The chicken escaped. Bruno escaped. Several soldiers began shouting, "Oi, dito ka! Hindi ka what? Hindi ka dapat ka dito." And he said, "Halt! This is a restricted area. Do not enter." That's what they say. Like, boom, they were ready to shoot him, but he was a civilian, so they were strict not holding their guns. They tried to do this with their guns, saying, "Halt! This is not you." Before Noah could stop himself, he stumbled through the dungeon entrance. The transition felt like falling through cold water. One moment, sunlight. The next, stone corridors, blue flames, ancient walls, a smell of damp earth. Noah froze. Bruno wagged his tail in anticipation. Anticipation, sorry. That was embarrassing how I pronounced that so wrong. Mochi, who had apparently followed them despite acting uninterested in every aspect of life, casually walked past both of them. Wow. Of course, cats just don't care. They just do what they want. Then a glowing screen appeared before Noah's eyes. Party detected. Members 3. Noah Reyes, human. Bruno, canine. Mochi, feline. Status, eligible. Initializing first Delver protocol. Noah stared. What? That's how he looked. Look at this. The screen changed. It says, "Congratulations! You are the first registered dungeon party in human history." What? Whoa, and that's how he became. Just by accident. Of course, it'll be unintentional. It's like, huh? He said, what? What just happened? That's what people say. I got it. The world changed. For reasons nobody would understand for years, the dungeon recognized social bonds. Of course, camaraderie. Not weapons, not rank, not wealth, relationships, trust, companionship. A lone person was weak. A true party became strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Those are words of wisdom right there. Every previous expedition had entered as military units. Teams assembled by command, not friendship, not loyalty, not affection. The dungeon rejected them, but Noah? Noah lived along with a dog who adored him and a cat who would tolerate him long enough not to leave. Yeah, I can imagine that's how our cats outside think of us. They just tolerate us because we feed them. If not, they would just leave and have no reason to stay. I can imagine that's how our cat sees us. To the dungeon, that counted. Oh boy. A goblin emerged from a side tunnel. The creature carried a rusted knife. Of course. Goblins carry weapons. It won't be a dungeon fantasy without a goblin carrying an arm, carrying a weapon at you. It looked exactly like the sort of thing that should not exist. Noah screamed, "Ah!" The goblin screamed, "Ah!" He did this in a stabbing motion, preparing to kill him. Bruno charged. Nobody expected the dog to win, least of all the goblin. Of course, the dog would fight. Man's best friend, ever loyal and not afraid to fight something, even the goblin. Bruno slammed at the creature like a furry missile. The goblin crashed into a wall. At that same moment, Mochi leapt. The cat landed directly on the monster's face. Claws flashed. Yeah, that's what he'll do. The goblin discovered several entirely new forms of regret. Oh! Seconds later, it collapsed. Dead. Ha! And here's the result. 3 new screens appeared. Bruno has leveled up. Trait acquired, courageous companion. Mochi has leveled up. Trait acquired, silent hunter. Noah has leveled up. Trait acquired, panic survivor. Ooh. Noah stared. Huh? Panic survivor? The dungeon offered no explanation. He doesn't know why he called it, but then again, he did run away, so I guess that would be expected. The world learned about this 6 hours later. Military drones captured footage of Noah emerging from the dungeon alive. Not merely alive, victorious. Well, let's continue. Accompanied by a golden retriever carrying a goblin dagger and a cat somehow wearing a treasure chest key around its neck. Wow. I wonder how did that dog manage to carry a dagger in town? But then again, I saw a dog playing with a toy sword, so it's not possible. How did that cat manage to get around that treasure key around its neck? It's somewhat weird, but then it's kind of cute. That's kind of nice. So the dog's a golden retriever. Good to know. The internet exploded. Of course it does. I can imagine how awesome that was. Within days, billions watched every expedition. Noah became humanity's test case. Governments offered contracts. Corporations offered sponsorships. Talk shows begged for interviews. He declined most of them. Well, that means he accepted a few of them, so I guess there are some. He's most, so that means he didn't decline all of them. I guess he accepted some, but not all. The dungeon interested him more. He found something fun. Because he had discovered something else. Something hidden. Something terrifying. The dungeon was growing. Every week, another floor appeared. Every month, new entrances emerged around the world. Humanity had assumed that the dungeons were invasions, but Noah's party found ancient murals deep underground. Murals depicting cities, stars, civilizations, worlds connected by countless dungeons. Looks like this dungeon isn't just a mere dungeon. It's more than that. It has a lot of things. There's a multiverse inject. I can imagine a certain game like that, but I ain't telling you. I don't want to risk getting in trouble with the corporations. So I can't say it. The dungeons weren't invading, they were connecting. And something on the deepest floors were trying to climb upward. The clues appeared gradually. Abandoned fortresses, destroyed camps, monster corpses larger than buildings, entire levels scarred by ancient battles. Evidence that someone, or something, had nearly reached the surface before. One night, on floor 12, Noah found a message carved into black stone. The words were written in hundreds of languages. Some human, most not. All carried the same warning, and it reads, "If this message is found, the seal is failing. Do not go deeper." Seems he was warned that he can't go any further than he already have. Looks like Noah hasn't found his trap. Bruno growled. Mochi's tail puffed. For the first time, both animals looked afraid. Oh, looks like they must be afraid this is bad. I wonder how this will work out. Then a new notification appeared. World event detected. The first party has reached the threshold. Humanity's tutorial level is ending. Uh-oh. Tutorial level, not good. Noah swallowed. What does that mean? It means this. Far below, something answered. A roar. I don't know if I can do that right, sorry. Ancient, immense, alive. The sound shook every dungeon on Earth. And for the first time, humanity understood. The first dungeon had never been a treasure hunt. It had been a locked door. And Noah, Bruno, and Mochi had just found the key. The world's first dungeon crawling party looked at the darkness ahead. One nervous man, one loyal dog, one cat that seems suspiciously aware of everything. Looks like this cat knows more than let on, but I don't know. Then they stepped forward together, because someone had to go first. Oh boy, looks like this party started. And that's how the first party came to be. So, thank you for watching my video. This is the Story Man, signing out. So remember folks, like my video, subscribe to my channel, and please leave a comment down in the comment section below. Remember, hit that like button to like this video. Subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to get daily updates from me and videos and uploads. Comment down in the comment section below on what kind of story you want me to make, and I will make it, and then I will read it, and give it as much life I can from the Chat GPT. Give it as much as human emotion as I can give it. If you do all that, This thumb will greet you at the end with a thumbs up. Remember, like, comment, subscribe equals a thumbs up from me to you. Remember, the story may be made by Chat GPT, but the voice acting, dramatic flair, ad-libbing, storytelling, narration, and voice motions are done by a real human being, which I call myself the story man. Thank you, and goodbye. And this thumb will reach at the end with a thumbs up if you do all that. Again. Thank you. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Bye.